Welcome to the Calmcast, a time to feel calm and think clearly. I'm Claire Downham, the Queen of Calm, a transformational life coach. I was a burnt out head teacher who finally made the journey to calm after years of trying, and I want to prevent you from having to do the same. The Calmcast is a series of short explorations, gently guiding you back to your natural state, which is calm and clarity. Just listen like you would listen to music, with an open mind and curiosity. There's nothing else to do. Now let's relax into today's episode. So today we're considering how much time really we spend trying to understand things. And I don't mean like in a science experiment, which is really useful and has moved our species a long way on in life, but I mean how much time we spend trying to puzzle out why other people are doing what they're doing and why governments are deciding what they're deciding, and why did somebody treat me the way they treated me? The list goes on and on and on. And this came to me on a walk a few days ago. Actually, we were out for a walk, and I was out for a walk with my other half, Bruce, and we were walking along and talking, and I was doing my usual thing, which is to consider somebody else's behaviour as strange or different or not what I would do, generally not what I would do, therefore wrong, of course. Not really. I see that more and more now, but trust me, I did absolutely used to think I was right and everybody else was wrong. So I was pondering, I can't even remember what the behaviour was, or I can't remember if it was a stranger's behaviour or somebody I know's behaviour, but I was caught up in, well, maybe it's because they're like this, maybe because that happened when they were a child, and maybe blah, 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 blah. And then I just suddenly, the thought came into my head, maybe you're not supposed to understand that. Maybe you don't have a right to understand that. Maybe it's actually impossible to understand that. And that really is the truth. And that's because there are layers to this, really. And the first layer is from where we're coming from as human beings, is that we can only understand the world from our perspective, from our point of view, from our conditioned thinking. Every time we look at the world and consider why it is the way it is, why somebody's doing what they're doing, we have to be doing that from our conditioned thinking. It's like we have a program running inside us, and it's unique to us, and it therefore gives us a ridiculously unique perspective. It's just so different to anybody else's, and that's because nobody else has had the same jigsaw puzzle of experiences. If you imagine the jigsaw puzzles almost in a line, our experiences of life, not a straight line, of course, it's more of a wiggly one, but our experiences of life, each little micro moment of our lives, is why we are the way we are right now. It is why we have a view of what's right and what's wrong right now. And that's it, really. And so when you are considering somebody else's behaviour, as I do far too often still, you can only be seeing it through your eyes. And you're not right. I'm sorry. I find that as hard to hear as probably you do. But you're not right. Your story that you're making up about why somebody else is doing what they're doing and why they're wrong and etc., is not true. So that's the first aspect. The first aspect is just realizing that's just not how things work. It's just not how the system is. The system that you're seeing the world through, the filter that you're seeing the world through is your filter. It's unique to you. So that's the first thing. The first thing is you cannot fundamentally see the world objectively. Never. Just never. I mean, knowing that can be a bit mind-blowing and a bit challenging, but also it's freeing. And you'll hopefully see as I carry on talking how freeing that can actually be. And actually, I'm going to speak to that now, because in that moment when I went, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to understand this, it just all fell away. And I was getting quite riled up about this other person and why they were behaving the way they were behaving. I was getting caught up in the story, and my head was very full and busy. And then it just fell away because I just went, oh my God, I'm not supposed to understand this. Who told us we were supposed to understand the way other people behave? It's crazy when you think about it, isn't it? Because it's not possible. And it sounds like I'm speaking to an entire body of science called psychology that tries to understand why other people do what they do. But then that's a whole other session, I think, probably. So that's the first thing. You can't see the world other than through your filters, your perspective, your thinking, your conditioning. That's it. That's how you see the world all the time. Get used to it, folks, because it's just true. And then the second part is that the second part brings relief to me too. I have to say that whatever somebody is doing, however, through our perspective, crazy it looks, however wrong it looks, however foolish it looks, however contradictory it looks, which is the thing with me. And, government decisions often seem to say one thing and then they seem to say something different the next day. But anyway, that all of those other beings making decisions and doing things or seeing their behavior, what they're doing in the world is 100% what makes sense to them in the moment. From their conditioned thinking, from their little jigsaw puzzle of random things that have happened to them through life. And that does bring relief. I'm going to misquote. I've shared a Brené Brown quote recently that says really that life is just a nicer way to live when you come from the perspective that other people are doing the best they can with the thinking that they have. That doesn't mean we have to accept behavior we find fundamentally challenging. It doesn't mean that we have to be treated unpleasantly. In fact, without all that noise in our heads trying to work out why they're doing what they're doing, there's actually just a lot more space, because there is just one answer to that question. Why is somebody doing what they're doing? Because that makes sense to them. And you're probably not seeing it accurately anyway. And the story that you're making up is coming from you. And in the moment when you realize, I don't have a right to understand this. I'm not supposed to understand it. That's not my job. There's just such relief. There's just a letting go. Because how much time do we spend? I know it's not just me. It's not just me who's doing this. How much time do we spend trying to answer these ridiculous questions? How much time? And it's just wasted time, really. And it's tiring, isn't it? So there's a lot of freedom in not being caught up in those stories anymore. And what's helpful to understand is that a clear mind, a calm mind, a mind with less nonsense in it is one which functions better. Just simply. And I know you've seen that, because I know you've had those moments when you've felt calm, and it's you've noticed what comes from that, because there is so much available to us in calm. And we can never, ever understand why other people are doing what they're doing. So, I mean, I feel like saying, why bother trying? Because you're not really trying, are you? I mean, trying would be going and sitting with that person and talking to them, not making up a story in here. Then you might get some clarity, better clarity than you get with the story. Just something to really be aware of, folks, this. Thank you so much for listening. There's nothing to do now but bring some awareness to how this is working out in your life. Listen regularly to experience longer and longer periods of calm. This has been the Calmcast with Claire Downham, Queen of Calm. Take care and keep listening.